I'm preparing for my talk this coming Saturday. It's on gray areas, and I think I found my passage. I think I'm going to concentrate on Mark chapter 2. I've actually written out the verses in my notebook from verse 15 all the way till end of the chapter, verse 28. It essentially has one, two, three scenarios whereby we see Jesus in gray areas. And what do I mean by that? Well, what happens is that there are all these religious leaders who think they're in the black and white. And what I like about that is that they're very sure about themselves, they're very sure about what God says in the Bible. And so what happens is that they criticize Jesus for being in the gray. A very interesting scenario, right? Real situations, and whereby you can see how Jesus reacts being in the gray. But it also says that being in the gray is not such a bad thing. Being in the gray is actually an opportunity to speak grace and to clarify truth that is in the black and white. And the three situations have to do with Jesus, first of all, hanging out with the wrong crowd. They say, Jesus is hanging out with sinners and tax collectors, and that's in the gray. The second situation has to do with fasting, which is a very good, very religious thing. The Pharisees, the disciples fast. But come Jesus, your friends, your matai, they don't fast. And then finally, have the Sabbath. The last situation is the Sabbath. Jesus' friends, they're walking through the grain fields and they're picking up grain. They're makaning food. And that constitutes working on the Sabbath. So these are three situations. And I think you notice that it's pretty black and white. The Pharisees, they think, God says, obey the Sabbath. God says, don't hang out with the wrong people. But Jesus is the one who is in the wrong. Jesus is the one who is in the gray. And the thing to notice is that they're all very angry. They're all very upset because they think they're in the right. Because they're being kind of like self-righteous. So that's the first thing to see. That there's a kind of arrogance thinking they're in the black and white. But secondly, the way that Jesus responds by speaking the truth is by speaking a kind of truth that covers over the kind of like mistakes or the wrongdoings of the disciples. It's a truth that's spoken in love, but a truth that kind of like protects his friends from all these accusations. So the second thing, so firstly, self-arrogance, but secondly, this kind of truth that's spoken in grace. But finally, a kind of truth that's bigger than the black and white truth. The kind of truth that saves, the kind of truth that's spoken into the gray. Meaning that actually, in order to understand the truth of the gospel, the truth about Jesus, you kind of like need to be in the gray, you need to be challenged, you need to work through this truth in very real life situations whereby it is worked out in love, in grace, and through the Lord Jesus Christ. So that's kind of like where I am at, preparing for this talk this coming Saturday. Is on gray areas, and I really like this. I really like that Mark chapter 2 has these three episodes side by side, and how it shows these gray areas through Jesus in a very positive light. So that's where I am right now. Still no talk yet, but at least I have my passage.